Hello and welcome back to the Hilda's Mood Show. We are here for episode 3, talking about fear of the future. If I could have everyone on the panel give yourself a round of applause for being here. Thank you so much. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world and y'all here with me. So we're just gonna go down the line and have everybody introduce themselves, starting with Fabiola.
Hello, I'm Fabiola Pierre. I'm from Miami. I'm actually in Miami right now, but I live in Georgia. I'm a little bit of everything: creator, hairstylist, artist tour, cooker, baker. So nice meeting y'all. Definitely intrigued to let y'all hear what we're about to talk about.
Thank you so much, Fabi. And
You're
next, we're going to have
welcome.
Larry.
Hello, everyone. I am Larry Stansbury. I am an editor, writer, author of 2 books. I'm a content creator as
Ooh.
well. Born in
Mm.
Maryland, I go back and forth between Maryland and New York City. That's where I work at right now. And yeah, I'm excited to start this show.
Oh, thank you so much, Larry. Fun fact, we went to high school together. So that's
And middle
really
school,
cool.
and middle school too.
And middle school, too. Known you for so long. And next, we're going to have King Martiez.
It's Martez, my bad. Yeah, I'm King Martez. Raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Currently stay in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a manager of a in the service industry. I have a YouTube channel dedicated on men's and women fragrances and lifestyles, and I also have a book getting ready to come out. I'll be publishing. The book is getting published now out of 18 books, so this will be my first book coming out.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congrats. Thank you so much, King Martez. And next, we're going to have Bodega.
Hey everyone, so I'm Bodega, originally from New York, but I live in Atlanta, and I help empower creatives in their independence. Publishing, masters, all that kind of stuff. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. And last but not least, we are going to have Danny.
Hi, everyone. My name's Danny. I'm originally from Western Pennsylvania, currently living in Northeast Ohio, across the line. I do a lot of things. So I currently, like by day, work in pharmacy benefits administration as an operations manager. I also spend time on the theater stage, and build, I'll be going into filming for both a movie and a TV series within the next few weeks that are set to come out like late 2023, fall 2023 for our movie, and our TV series the following year. And I'm a little bit of a creative, a little bit of a crafter. I'm a mom. I'm a sister. I'm a lot. I'm a friend. I'm a lot of things. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be back with Hilda.
Oh, and I'm so happy to have you back. And I am your host, Hilda, aka Hilda's Mood. Some of y'all may know me as Mango. And I'm here as your host, trying to bridge the gaps between all sides of the spectrum. I think most understanding comes through dialogue. And nowadays, we're struggling to have real conversations. So, here on the Hilda's Mood Show, this is where I want conversation to start. This is a food for thought. It's never a debate space. It's just a place where we're trying to understand each other. And with that, we're going to hop right into this conversation. So, first things first, as a society, do you think that we are stuck in the past? Why or why not?
I'll go
Um,
first. I can go first. I didn't know if anybody.
Yeah, you can
Um.
go and we'll have Abby after you.
Okay. Yes and no. I look at everything as a duality. Everything has two sides. Yes, we're stuck in the past, but if you're my thing is if you're gonna be stuck in the past, be stuck on something that's positive to you, something that induce a good feeling inside. Most of us are stuck on things in the past that don't kind of help us. It actually hinders us, such as slavery or what black people went through in the past. And it's kind of like, well, if we keep going there and we're not going, some say we're going through this now, but some say we don't. I don't know. Like you said, this is just my thought. I'm not trying to tell anybody if you feel this way, but to answer your question, yes and no. It's just a double-edged sword. Yes and no, basically. So I'll let someone else take the course.
Yeah. I am I going? Okay, yeah. So I definitely want to agree with what you were saying earlier, because it is a double sword. Because like when it comes to like even entertainment, like they're replaying the same type of beats, the same type of like melody, but like some are creating new vibes of music because that's how like history is created. But then again, like they repeat the bad stuff that's really not helpful. So it's really based on the person how they intake it. Mm.
Absolutely,
Uh,
I agree. Go ahead,
okay,
Larry.
so I'll go. To go along with what you two guys said is that a lot of us face a lot of trauma in our past, and sometimes, especially our parents, um, they will project that trauma and insecurities to us. So it's always passed down. It's like a lot of us, we are still stuck in the past, like yes and no, but it's how you have a choice of you either want to be stuck in the past or you want to move forward. I choose to move forward because I said, I got a lot going on. I have so much ahead of me. Like, listen, I'll be 28 in a couple of months, which I'm just like, I can't probably be in my 30s. But as I said before, is that sometimes our parents will project that trauma to us, and then we tend to, project it to other people and everything. So it's just that, of course, we are still stuck in the past, but it's how we choose to be. If we want to be stuck in the past or move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think the duality in this is for me is that as a maybe like as a normal society, right? Like the everyday person is searching for that feeling of comfort and nostalgia, and you can usually find that in the past. But there's a lot of people or a lot of positions of power who are interested in upholding standards, but are looking towards the future of, enhancing those standards, quote unquote. So
Very true. Very
Mm.
true. And oh, go ahead, Danny.
I was going to say, I can completely agree that as a collective, there are a lot of people who are stuck in the past. I use the term, I talk about this stuff a lot with people. I use the term like outdated belief system. And to, I think it was Larry's point, a lot of times there is a lot of generational trauma or ways of thinking or ways of doing things that are passed down from our parents and our parents' parents and so on and so forth. And I think a lot of us have gotten to the point where we've really examined those thoughts and beliefs and really looked to change the narrative. As to the why, I think the why is because that's what we know and that's what's comfortable. And a lot of times people are afraid to branch outside of their comfort zone, and we all know the phrase, when you're uncomfortable, you grow. And I think a lot of people are afraid of their own growth and discovering a little more about themselves because it's not always the easiest thing to do. It's great, it's rewarding, but it's not always easy because then you recognize somewhere in there that there's a little work that you have to do and you have to make a change. And a lot of times people are afraid of change. So I think that's the why. Me, I'm not though. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like to see things change. When I feel too stagnant or I feel like things have been the same for too long, I start to feel like I have to disrupt something. Like
And
something's gonna have to shift.
I used to be that person that was like, oh no, it's comfortable. I like it here. Like, I like the routine. And I'm very much an earth sign. So we know earth signs like their routines. I do have
Hmm.
routine in my day for certain things, like the things that you need routine for. But outside of that, like I prefer, like I thrive in a state of change. So it's a good thing.
Yep, Larry, you can go ahead.
I always raise my hand because I just don't want to interrupt anybody. But I think also too of a lot of us that because of COVID and us being home, we are confined. Like we're all confined in our homes. We start to think a lot about like our past and reflect on everything. And we always think about, okay, why did this happen? And then you also got to remember too is that people who are so stuck in the past, they're very toxic because they're still going through that like phase of the life that okay, everything is changing. I don't know what to do, but it's like you have to either. I tell my parents this all the time: you either survive in this world or you're 6 feet under. You choose because in this world, because I mean, I'll say to everybody is that we are Black people living in white America. Like we all have to like fight for our lives and do everything that's like benefiting us and be authentic. So that's like my spiel of like the society and everything.
And I love that because that like gears into my next question a little bit. So because a consistent thing we've all agreed on this the consensus is that there is a duality in the fact of like there's the comfort in the past that we're kind of looking for and also just that familiarity even if it isn't necessarily healthy, right? But there is like this innate desire to move forward and like see what you're capable of and see what the future entails. But as a society, do you think that we're progressing? Like do you think that majority of people are like facing that crossroad and choosing change over comfort?
Oh, I want to go first. Um, so like this topic is very it's very good to me. Like I have a good passion for it. So I feel like overall, I feel like I think it's and from my perspective, it's probably like 50-50. I've seen both. And I'm one of those people who will like, if I recognize that like maybe you have an opportunity or you share with me that you have an opportunity in that arena, whether it be surrounding change, like working to heal yourself, like therapy, like your journey, whatever the case may be, I'm always going to be the encourager. And I'm going to help you dig a little deeper. I'm going to ask questions. I want to know like what makes you tick like that and why. Why are you like that? And I ask myself all the time, why am I like this? But I do feel like it's a very clear distinction of the people who don't want to embrace that change. I have a 9-year-old son, and I literally recognize that I'm in a space where it's been my calling to break some really traumatic and toxic generational cycles, as far as I'm concerned, both from my son and from my ex-husband, his father's side of things. And I think that I've made a decision that more or less I'll be damned if he ends up growing up and living his life with an outdated way of thinking or an outdated belief system, and that it's not important to change and grow and examine yourself. So in 28 years, my 9-year-old will be 37. So I can hope and pray that he is like one of those children that becomes a change agent in our world. And I think that's really where it begins. Like we can encourage the change in others, but oftentimes once we reach a certain age or a certain level, or we've been operating that way for a long time, the only person that can wake up that change inside of us is our own self. You can encourage, you can support, you can try to motivate, but until you're ready to make those changes, it's not going to happen. So I think that a lot of that change would really have to be instilled in our current youth today, and just be open with them. Tell them the truth. Like, teach them how to set boundaries. Teach them that love isn't buying you a bunch of gifts for your birthday or taking you to a bunch of amusement parks and spending hundreds of dollars on all the games. Like those experiences are fun and great. And yes, I do those things with my child, but it's not the premise of where our love comes from. So I think that's where a lot of that begins. And I kind of got off topic, and I'll let somebody go next.
Thank you so much, Danny. That was a fruitful answer.
I'll go next. Is society changing in general? Again, like Bodega said, I'm a spiritual person, so I believe in duality. Nothing has one side. There, you can't have negative without positive, male without female, so on and so forth. With that being said, we're progressing far as technology. We are, but limited resources. A lot of people don't have resources. Resources is how a community can build or a group can build. And as far as the African American or Black or Moorish, whatever community people or whatever people identify as, we have limited resources, and you need resources to be able to build and to progress in life and move forward. Money is not a resource. Money gets you the things, but we have a lack of ownership and property, which Bodega teaches that. And if we don't own anything, we have any property, we just have money, and it's just like money is actually useless. Like we don't understand the value and ownership. And Master P talks about that also too. And on the other side, we're not growing spiritually. Nobody is in tune with their inner self. Social media has taught people to go on here and do things for likes, which you're becoming one with the computer and you're acting like a robot. You're not in tune with yourself. So now we do things to get a like, or we do what everybody do. So if somebody make a challenge, even though the challenge is positive, but everybody wants to do it. So there's no leadership no more. Everybody just want to follow the leader, and that's what I feel like. On one hand, society is growing and progressing, and on the other side, we're not.
Absolutely. And I think that's important to note the different places where we are seeing progress versus where we're not. Because it has to be a unified force. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're not moving forward in all of these different ways and then negating whatever may be holding us back, then it's like you're taking one step forward, two steps back constantly. And there's not real change in progression of moving forward. So I agree with that.
Spoon feeding change.
I think
What do you
there's
mean?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bodega.
Oh, I think there's society's progressing half-heartedly, I would say. There's a lot of progression in superficial things of like, acceptance and, quality and these things that like they present as progression, but aren't actual progression, you know. Um, but there's also a growing gap between the have and have nots, of course, but also with the knowledge and information, in to how to transition into like later stages of life, how to transition into your more spiritual self, these kind of things. Like there's an increasing gap, right? Most people, because like back to what King's point was that because social media is such a driving force now, the same type of things that have mattered matter more, like on the superficial side, as far as likes and how good you look and what you drive in and how you drive in and who's living the best life and all these kind of things. And these tend to be the deciding factors between if someone's going to listen to you and listen to the information that you have and versus not, right? And so that can be very detrimental because a lot of the superficial aspects of our society that we have that we need to change are being upheld and reinforced and broadcasted to all these places. But I mean, like these type of conversations are having, right? Like there wouldn't be like any progression at all if these type of conversations weren't happening. So there's a bit of awakening here like in society in regards to that. But there's a fighting force, and they tend to be the majority at the moment, where they are desperately trying to uphold everything that has been and trying to revert some things to the way they were.
Whew, that really like made me think about a lot of different things. because especially just the fighting force, the things that are holding us back and trying to maintain these standards, as you even said at the very beginning, like it's real, and it is really the majority, which is why sometimes I feel like online, especially in like social media spaces, these spaces can feel very loud, um, but they're still the minority. Where it's a very loud minority, even online. So how we push those efforts online and these social medias and movements and things like that into the real world is, I think, where a lot of that resistance is. Go ahead, Larry.
Also too, to go along with what everyone's saying also in about society, I will also say I would say society is slightly progressing, but it's still reverting back to like the old slavery times, right? You know, a lot of workplaces are now, hiring more black people. And it's like they didn't do this before, but because of COVID and what's happening in the world and like, racism is like being broadcast online and on social media, it's like, okay, we can hire more black people or we can like say, oh, we support black people. But it's still and I told this to my parents this other day is that we live in it's still at the end of the day is a white heterosexual man's world. Like we're still trying to, as I said before, we're still trying to make it in this world, but society to still this today is still, reverting back because of, when I hate to say his name, DT, when he became president, that's when all the racism has come out in a lot of people. And it's like it's reverting back to it, but it's like now it's like slowly progressing, but to this it's like here and it's like it's a 50-50 as everyone said. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, 45th definitely caused a shift in terms of like that public, like how acceptable things became in terms of like these very public outrage, and demonstrations of outrage. It was a time. Um, but yeah, go ahead, Fabi.
I would definitely say that society progression is it still have its like faults as in general, like making sure the human are okay. Because like to today, like people are like dying every day. Like large amount of people are like being extinct, and like it's still going on, but like we be worried about like the dumbest shit, like the stuff that really hit the surface that people are really like, oh my goodness, we need to do something about it. They're not doing about stuff that's really important. And that's why all the other category of like racism and like just like all these different arguments fall in place because they just still can't agree that humans should come first. Like they're building all these new buildings, but okay, what about like these homeless people that we have? Like, is there a way that we can get them back into the society so it could be better than like you just forgetting about that area and then building a new area for new people? But like they left where they were because how it started, and this is the same cycle to say. So that's like
Yes.
it's just us sitting down and trying your best to like make your surrounding have a different effect, and hopefully it hits every other circle that they're around because one person can't do nothing but like a village can.
Mm, absolutely, absolutely. And as you were saying that, it actually brought me back to even how I came up with this question in the first place. Because one thing I hear in conversation a lot of the time, especially with like our age group, is people will be talking about, okay, we got to unplug from the matrix, right? Like we're in the matrix, we got to unplug. But then, like 2 minutes later in the conversation, we start talking about like Bitcoin and Web3 and NFTs and all this other stuff, right? And how we got to invest in this
Absolutely.
and this is our future. And then I'll just be like,
Oh,
so is that how are we talking about unplugging from the matrix, but then we plugging into like a whole nother level of what we're talking about? Like, are we aware of what we're trying to do? Because how does us, getting the NFT or doing whatever footprint on that side on the digital era that we're not even like we don't even have full access to, and
Exactly.
then we don't even know how to like sew our clothes.
I know
A
how to
lot
do
of us
that.
don't even know how to cook.
I know how
A
to do
lot of
that.
people don't know how to grow their own food. You know what I mean? A
I
lot of
know how to
people
do
don't know how
that.
to take care of themselves when they
Yeah.
sick. Like
All the essential
little
stuff
things
is
like
being lost in
this.
the
Like
sauce.
that's human essentials. Like we should know how to do these things. Like on the basics of like, okay, like if my ceiling fan broke, I should actually be able to like do a little screw and put it back together. Like you know what I mean? I shouldn't have to call a company and wait and all these other things. But like even Fabi was just saying, like we lost a lot of the human element because of different levels of commodification on so many different things.
Yeah. The
But
online stuff, it's crazy. I mean, I know we're online right now, but like the because like a lot of the schools have a lot of kids doing like physical education online. So I'm like, what you mean?
no,
Like, you first of all, you're
exactly.
not teaching them how to sew. Like, I learned how to sew in middle school. I learned how to cook in middle school. I learned how to like do hair. I mean, they had a whole cosmetology program. Like, there's a lot of stuff they're not teaching them how to do. Like, the computer is good too, because like we have MySpace, so like we learn how to like do all like we
My
were coding.
favorite.
Honestly,
Exactly.
literally, like we're coding, but like they don't know nothing about that, and that's why they changed up the system of how like we had access to the online life. Like this is not. We had to put a disc for internet. You remember that? And you
Mhm.
can't call nobody during that time.
Mhm.
Upset. So
Exactly.
yeah,
You know what gets
I've,
me also too about this generation? I hate to say the Gen Z generation is that, like, see, we were taught to do things by hand, but it's like this generation is like, oh no, from this what TikTok has taught me. I'm just like, I did not learn anything from like social media. I had to go like I had to take a class and do everything like by hand. But it's like now it's just like everything is so technology, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm grateful that my parents taught me to like, clean, like sew, and like as Fabiola said, like she learned it in middle school. I remember those things learning in middle school too. And it's like now
mhm.
everybody, especially with now everybody's like, doing remote learning, like online schooling. And it's just they're doing everything based on a computer. So it's like, what
but
if
I
you guys
Yes,
are
and
pressed?
so I
so that
get
leads
that part.
actually into my next question.
Okay,
So really, my
yeah,
nah, y'all got it. Like I love the energy. Y'all know I love the
okay.
energy. But that leads into my next question about what do you think the youth needs that they don't have right now? Because as we're even talking about, like remote learning is coming up a lot, and I was a math tutor in the public schools for a while, and what it really taught me was that even something as simple as teaching math cannot be done adequately on a computer, because so much of learning the skill of arithmetic, like basic arithmetic, has to be written out. Like you have to be able to learn how to write these things out, learn the different like the different principles and how it happens, right? And what I would even find, we would find like glitches on the test. You know what I'm saying? Like where somebody is putting in the right answer, but because the computer is taking it wrong, it's going to mark it wrong. And there's nothing anybody can do about it unless, again, we call somebody that programmed the thing to change the code and all these other things. So it really does hinder learning on so much of a level, especially when there's so much of a gap of internet literacy and all these things. So again, just to circle back to my question, what do you think the youth needs that we don't have available?
I'll go first. I think the youth needs leaders, right? Even like with ourselves as millennials, a lot of times what has happened is that we are learning from one another, and we're not learning from you know older generations that came before us, right? And like, for the most part, we know that why that's the case. There's been a lot of systemic things in place to purposely limit that type of older leadership, and to limit the knowledge that was passed down, and maximize the trauma that was passed down, right? Like, we kind of know how that goes. But the youth right now, um, at least in my opinion, don't have any leaders to actually kind of look to learn, maybe how to progress, or to even show the importance of, like, logging off, and going outside, or doing some things by hand, or doing some things manually, that kind of stuff, because this is the era that they grew up in. Oftentimes, a lot of us can remember when the internet wasn't like a standard thing in your home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to get those AOL disc online, or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? Little dial-up internet, whatever, whatever. Um, but they didn't have that. The internet has always been a thing for them. So, like, that kind of progression, and doing things online and learning things online is just kind of like a natural next step for them. And because they don't have people who are actively showing them that, not only is there another way, but there's a reason why that other way exists. They'll just continue to, look towards one another instead, because, part of them, and I mean, we do this too. Like, we look at, like, what the world is currently like, damn, like, y'all really got us here. like y'all got us, like, to this point. Like, these things are so messed up that, like, I can't necessarily trust what it is that you're saying. And I'm just going to look to myself and my peers, and Gen Z is doing that as well. And that will be taught to, I think it's generation one, or I don't even know what the generation after Gen Z is called. But yeah, yeah, we we don't have much leadership. So I think that's something that we all need.
That's so
I'll go
important because,
next.
oh, give me 1 second. So we're just gonna
Okay.
have a quick reset because we are here talking about the fear of the future and what that really entails. What does our future look like, and how do we feel about it? And we are here on Fifth Radio. Thank you so much to everybody on the Fifth Radio staff for bringing us here, and to my sponsors out at Keys to Life. You can find them at Fifth Radio on Friday evenings between 8 and 10 p.m. We like to keep it flexible. We like to keep the vibe organic. It is a great time, so check in with us. If you would like to add it, if you would like to purchase any type of ad space or sponsorship, please reach out to Pip Radio at pipradio@gmail.com. And we're going to hop right back into this conversation. So, King Martez, it's up to you.
Okay. Thank you, Hilda. I want to thank everyone, because I do like other people's opinions, and that is how we all come together. It's not a debate. It's not a one person's right, you wrong. That's what duality does. Duality lets people understand that there's always another side, and you have to look at both sides. But like Bodega, and I think we all are hitting everything right at that key point. The youth nowadays, they definitely need leadership, because everything is so fast paced for them. It's like everyone's from their youth, or this generation, they're looking to go viral. And going viral is just like something that instantly happens, where I don't know, I'm probably the oldest on here. I don't know, I'm 40. So back in my time, you had to grow, and it was phases of steps to get to where you were trying to get to in life. Now you can instantly do a hit on the Instagram, and it blow up overnight, and now you're doing shows in 2 weeks. Nobody prepped them and gave them the knowledge of what it takes to get to that level. So now you're just putting them out there. No leadership, no companionship, no guidance, no nothing. So it's more fast paced, and now they kind of feel like they're entitled, and everybody wants that same thing. So the youth actually needs to be able to learn how to be patient, or learn patient, and they don't have that. I think that's what they're missing, is patience.
Go ahead, Danny.
Larry, you are not the oldest here, but
I was saying, don't feel old. Like, I thought so far.
Right. You're not the oldest here, but it's good that you thought that you were. I will say, again, I said I had a 9 year old, and I agree with what everyone has to say about some of their needs. From my perspective, they have access to technology at their fingertips in the classroom, at home, on the playground. I'm that mom that still limits my son's screen time. Like, do I limit it to 2 hours a day? No, not at all. Um, but I still limit it. I keep an eye on it. I double check. I think that our youth needs maybe a little bit less technology, a little bit less access to technology, because to them it's all they know. My son communicates with his friends on the video game and through like Facebook Messenger Kids, through he will like text them on iMessage, on the iPad, FaceTime. That's how he talks to his friends. Like they don't just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" They have to be like connected. And I can appreciate that for them, but at the same time, it's like, "Hey, do you want to pick up Michael and go play at the park?" "No, we'll just get on Fortnite together." No, we're going to go play at the park today. And it's just those little things like that. It prevents them, I think, from being kids again. I think that's a lot of kids nowadays are lacking role models. Like their role models are YouTubers and who talk about playing video games all day. And that's great. But at the same time, I tell my son all the time, Fortnite's not going to make you money, honey. Well, it can if I'm really good and I'm a top gamer and I get in these competitions and I start a YouTube channel and I'm like, that's a hobby. That's a great hobby. I don't want to squash your dreams. But the truth of the matter is, like, you need a little bit more than just your game or being really good at playing your game or being really good at making videos. Those are great things, but there's a lot more than that. And I think that they really are missing, they're missing role models, they're missing less technology. What else can I say? As far as leadership goes, not only are they missing like leadership, but I feel like they're missing the idea on how to be a leader. I know when I was younger, like the big rule was like be a leader, not a follower, be a leader, not a follower. But nowadays, and I'm going to go back to the video games one more time. When I first opened up the Fortnite window with my child, which I highly regret, um, um, I've said, I'm not investing any money into this game, kid. I'm not. It's like lighting my money on fire and throwing it out the window off the balcony. We're not doing that. And he's like, well, mommy, I tried playing the game. I know you said you weren't buying me anything for the game, but like people, I can't even play. People are bullying me because I have the basic skin that came with the game. And I'm like, wait, what? So it's like having them to be, and I did invest into the game, by the way, and I do. It's his reward. So if he uses his allowance on it, I'm okay with it if that's what he chooses. But I will tell you that a lot of them are oftentimes worried about what their peers will think instead of setting the narrative for just being different or being unique or whatever the case may be. I say all the time, I'm weird. Like, I love being weird. Like, I love being different. And my son will tell me all the time, Mommy, you're so weird. And I'm like, I am. And I love that. He's like, but weird in a good way. Like, just encouraging him to be authentic and who he is, because the less that we do that and encourage those leadership skills, the more children are going to grow up not even knowing who they are and being in some of those situations where they're stuck in an outdated way of thinking that's not accurate, valid, or of any value to their life. So I'm done here.
Danny, you made a good point because this generation, and I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but see, like Danny's generation, like every generation before Gen Z, it's like we experience things. This generation now, it's like, okay, I can research and I can know everything. And it's like they want to be given the opportunity, but it's like they don't even want to put in the hard work of it. Like I remember I had an intern at the company I'm working at right now. She says, well, I researched this. And I was like, okay, there's a difference between experience and research. You need to pick and you gotta be the one who experienced and like, you gotta balance it out and everything. But it's just you can't just think that, oh, I researched 7 days gonna happen like that for you. No, you're comparing yourself based on what you see on social media, and you gotta do what's best for you. A lot of times, especially this generation now, it's just research everything. Like they want to be given the opportunity. They want like something that Taraji P. Henson said in her speech is that people want instant fame. Like they want instant fame, this and that. No, she says it. She says it best. It took me 40 something years to get to this part of my career. So I had, like she said, did I get paid when I should have? No, but I did it because I had a passion for it. So a lot of times, especially with what everyone's saying, is that there's they're not looking at they need we need more leaders, but they need to be passionate. Look at the people they are passionate about, and then hopefully that will influence them to work really harder. So that's like my spiel of everything of what Danny and everyone else said. Nicole.
Yes. And I love that the role models keeps coming up just because when I think about current day celebrity, for example, I just think about all these like people that are around my age that are celebrities now and how like it is very stark, like it's part of the marketing. Like I am not a role model. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm just here doing my thing. Don't look up to me, don't follow me, don't do what I'm doing. Just buy into me, but don't follow me. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Rihanna was one of the first ones that I ever saw doing that. Like when I was growing up, where she was like one of the first ones to be like, I'm gonna do my thing. Don't tell your daughter not to be like me. But I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. Whereas like prior to Rihanna, I feel like most of the people, even if they were kind of risque, they would do certain things to like make sure that their image was still well rounded. Where it's like it's not a terrible thing that your child likes me. You know what I mean? Like it's not like even though like somebody like a Britney Spears or something like yeah, she's popular. You may not want your child in the crop top, but it's not terrible that she's your child's favorite person. You know what I mean? She's not sitting here saying like I'm not a role model or whatever. Um, and I don't know. I feel like that has its trade offs as well because like a lot of the grooming that was happening in the industry obviously was not safe and it extremely toxic to a lot of the people. But I think about like how we talk about like the development of people and the fact that a lot of the people with the loudest voices don't have these certain qualities and certain like they just weren't groomed into it. You know what I mean? They didn't do the media training. They didn't learn the right things to say. It doesn't matter anymore. Um and so as we're trying to shift and change our dynamic, what does it mean? What standards are we trying to hold? Because I guess we're kind of getting rose to the occasion. If we're saying that the kids need leaders, then we're gonna have to be the leaders because we're the adults now. You know what I mean? The generation passes fast. It's already like it's too late for them. So we're the ones who have to rise to this occasion, right? So how do we define what a leader is and define what a leader needs to be? These standards that we have so that we don't fall back into what it was, but still give the kids what they need now. So I think that's really interesting.
Oh wait, did someone say something?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I will say this story because this story, my mom told me this other day. I'm not going to say the person's name, but my aunt told me how their child. You know how you do laundry, you put like you get the laundry detergent, they had a cup with it. Tell me why my someone that I knew got a teaspoon and put laundry detergent on the teaspoon and put it in the dirty clothes and they said, oh, from what I saw on TikTok, you should be doing this. And I'm like, do you want to smell like the outside? Do you want to smell like dirty? Because again, like this generation, they see something on social media and they did it will work. It will work for real life. It's just no. Like you have to, as everyone says, that we all have to be leaders for the next generation because this generation right now is just all kinds of fucked up. Excuse my language, but I'm being real.
Yeah, and I think that's why we got to take responsibility into our own hands because we can point the finger all day. You know what I'm saying? We can be like, y'all did this and y'all didn't do that and y'all aren't doing X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, it's like, all
So,
right, again, we're the adults now. So what are
can
we
I
about
ask
to
you
do about
something,
that?
Hilda?
Sure.
Can I ask you? So, only reason I'm asking you is because you're the host. How do we? My son is 20. He just turned 20 some months ago. So, how do we get them to listen? Because nowadays they don't want to listen. They feel like you, oh, I ain't gotta listen to you, nigga. Excuse my language, but that's what they say.
So I'm.
Go ahead,
Can I
Danny.
answer this?
Danny's a mom, so yes.
I feel like what it really is allowing our kids to hit their heads and like learn the lesson. Because if you think about it, we all had to learn the lesson on our own or the lessons on our own. Am I right? Like, and I said
Yeah.
this earlier in the beginning. You can have people encourage you. You can have them tell you till you're blue in the face. And we all know there's some of those things that our parents were right about. And they're like, well, if you don't listen, you're going to learn. And then eventually you learned and you remember your parents saying like, well, hopefully they didn't say I told you so. They probably did. But at the same time, I think from my perspective, I really was initially that mom that wanted to make everything good for my child. Not easy, but good. Like I recognized he had to work hard. He had to earn things. He had to learn that, we don't just get things because they're handed to us or because we're spoiled. And I only have one. So like I'm very mindful about that. But I think when it comes down to it, I had to really learn to like back off. Now, mind you, mine's only 9. Do I back off all the way, all the time? No, but I do get tired of repeating myself. And when I find myself repeating those same things, like trying to teach him something, show him a different way or a better way, I tend to like take a step back and say, stop repeating yourself. Just let him learn the hard way. If it's not going to physically harm him or, put him in a horrible state, sometimes I think we just have to let them figure it out, or else they're never going to. They're just going to be dependent on having us in their ear all the time. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, Danny. You said your name Danny, right? Adani? Well,
Danny, you got
I'm
it. Danny.
yeah, I was very militant at first with my son, and he was scared of me, and that's how we were taught. But then I had to ease up, and because my mother and the women in my family were like, "He's scared of you," and I eased up off of him. But now I think that being that he's 20, I don't want to put his business out there. He doesn't have a job, and I'm like, he's in college, and I pay his bills, well, not bills, but his phone bill to help and do what I can do. But it's kind of like, where's your motivation at? And I feel like if I would have never slacked up a little bit, as they said, then he still would be more of wanting to get out here and to earn something. So,
I hear you, Martez. I hear you.
uh,
I think it's really about having the balance because,
Mm.
like, am I hard on my son? I am. But I do it more from a space of love and a space of I'm doing this because I recognize your potential. I can see what you can do. I can see things about yourself that you don't even see yet. But I think too, it is important to support your child while they're in college. Like I think about when I went to college. I went to college on my 18th birthday because of the way that my birthday fell. And I was dropped off. I had no idea what to expect. And I didn't have a lot of financial support. Like I remember not having 2 books for my first semester. And I'm like, how am I even gonna get this class? Because I don't have $450 for these 2 books. And that was before you could go and rent your books from Amazon for $33.99 and return them at the end of the semester. Not always, but at the same time. So I feel like it's okay to support him while he's in school. If he's doing what he's supposed to do, like you're really like he's going to have to transition to that real world. And I don't think he would be in school. And obviously, if he's doing well, he has to be doing well to still be there. I think it's a
yeah,
matter of finding the
he doing
balance.
okay. Yeah, he
Now if
got a
he's
YouTube
and
page too.
asking
So,
you for $50 to go out with his homeboys and kick it for the weekend, then
mm,
that's what you can say. If you want that kind of money, you have to get a job. Like you're providing him with the basics, right? And
yeah,
today, a 20-year-old does need a cell phone in college, and I think it's okay for the parent to pay the bill. So give yourself a little bit of grace too, Martez, as you adjust your ways of thinking and parenting, and now parenting a young adult.
okay.
Let me ask both you guys this. Because Montez, you say your kid is 20. Did you got Danny, your son is like 9. He's gonna get older.
Big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Did y'all ever had the talk of did you ever had did you ever talk to your kids about like, what to expect on social media, or like when you create a social media account, like did you had any of those talks with your kids? Because I remember when Facebook came out, like it was like what, 2005, no, it was like 2009, 2010. And I said to my mom, we create a Facebook account. My mom said, all right, come here. And she sat me down in the living room, and she had my brother with me, and she told me everything. She would tell me, do not post this, and that on social media. You gotta make sure that you have a very, positive, like a clear image on social media, because jobs and everything, they look into that. So did you guys ever had a
It's a
talk
footprint,
about
a digital footprint of
that?
anything and everything, and not just jobs, but like just people's perceptions in general. Does it matter what other people think of you? No, but it does matter how you present yourself, and that you're presenting yourself in a space of what's true to you, and in a space of what is good. Like, if I have a bad day, do I tell social media all the things that happen? Mm-mm. Any of you can follow me on social media. I'm very intentional about the things that I post. And anybody who knows me IRL can literally say, that's who you are and that's what you stand for. And I think that's what's important. But absolutely, I teach my 9-year-old about that. And I teach them about online creepers that pretend to be kids and really be adults and might try to beat you at the park one day when you're 13. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm make this short because I know we got to go on. But Larry, I teach him something that I think that a lot of people are not teaching. Period. Uh,
Mm,
Even grown people. I teach him responsibility and the consequences that come behind every choice and decision you make. If you teach these kids that, hey, if you make this choice, there's going to be uh action behind that. There's going to be a consequence, whether it's good or bad. If they can understand that, then they can understand how to make decisions and do things in life. So if you want to make a YouTube page and you want to curse and do this and that and do that, there's going to be consequences behind that. If you win $1 million, there's consequences behind that. So that's all I've taught him, like for him to understand the foundation of.
Larry, I like that approach. I teach my son the same, but not with everything. I often tell him or show him what I think is the right way or the appropriate way to do it. So I like your way of thinking. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, the reason why, because I remember my dad said something, and I said to my dad, like, it was like a very diplomatic thing. I said, first of all, you gotta remember, I'm black, but everything I do, like, such people see me on social media. If I do something like this in a bad way, that is my image that is being ruined. I'm also too, I'm an editor, so if I'm going to an event for my job, I have to respect and have to represent them. So if I do something out of like context of that, I could get fired and then I could get blacklisted. So it's just like there's a lot of things that you have to think about when you post on social media. Like I'll be honest on this call, I have someone that I know. She will post about she'll do live videos of her shaking her butt, like twerking at a club, and then talk about her sex life. And it's just like, why are you doing this? So that's the reason, Danny and Monta, that's the reason why I asked y'all both, is that did you guys ever had to talk about social media? So I'm glad that I was able to ask that.
No, that's good. I think that that was a great question, Larry.
Hmm. I love all the parenting tips. Shout out to the youth. I love like we I believe the children are our future. Whitney said it best.
She did.
So as we wrap it up, I just want everyone to go down the line and give me one thing that you're doing actively to plan for the future. We can start with Fabi.
I have decided to like give myself like a 5-10 year goal to like really get into my, you know, investment seed, making my money to seed my business. But then again, like learn and gain some type of income while at work at the same time. Like learning that new skill as a barista. And, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, come on, revenue
A new
stream.
adventure. Yes.
I love that. I love that. And Danny?
I feel like my like personally planning for the future is probably a combination between allowing myself to go with the flow and how things are coming towards me, and also really trying to just stick to my goals, stay focused, not allow like eliminating distractions. And I juggle a lot, have a lot going on. So for me, it's like I have a vision, I have a plan, and it's also recognizing that sometimes you have to deviate from the plan. I'm not always good at accepting that when it happens. So um, really just sticking to your plan, staying the course, eliminating your distractions, and allowing for every detail of every minute, because I used to be this person, to not have to be planned out and just to sometimes allow things to unfold and happen the way that they should.
I love that. Sometimes you need a little detour. Larry?
To go with what Danny just said, used to be the person that I would plan my life, but it's just like now because COVID is happening, everything is changing. I'm going with the flow, and if something doesn't happen for me, like within like 1 year or two, I'm okay with that. I'm just like gonna go with the flow of what happens. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bodega?
So, I mean, I think mine is pretty simple. I look at like who, like as a child, I would have looked up to. You know what I'm saying? Like as a man, and I try to mold myself after that. Some of the foundational pieces of like, how to treat women and saving money and all those kind of things are really important for me. Yeah, and so um, I look at like who would I like to be, in the future if I have a kid? What are some of the things that I would like to be able to teach them? And what position do I need to be in, like for that future to be able to pass those kind of things along? And what are the things that I need to be doing now to work towards that future? So yeah, I mean, simple stuff, saving money, investing, those kind of things, but also, surrounding myself with my family nucleus and kind of getting those kind of things together. So thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, King Martez.
Far as my future and just planning on the future, I'm just going to continue to have the visual and try to shoot towards the vision. Just basically it is I don't want to make it too hard and too complicated because I think somebody said it like being that am from a different generation, you're used to things taking years to transpire, and I've been a writer for years, but I kind of just now started taking it seriously, and I just got my copyright, so now I'm getting published. So it's just keeping the things, setting small goals and just aiming at those goals and trying to get those goals done.
Thank you, Martez.
Just
We
move
just had a
forward.
little bit of absolutely. Thank you so much. And as we get to the close of this conversation, I do want to thank you guys again for being here with me this great episode. We're going to be live on Thursday this week at 8 p.m. on Piff Radio. And if we could just have everybody introduce themselves one more time. It's going to go down the line. We're going to start with Danny.
Hi there, Janie B. It's always great to join Hilda on her show, and love having the discussion, just open conversation, and being able to take some gems and nuggets from each other, and hopefully give some to you all. Thanks for having me, Hilda.
Thanks for being here again, Danny. And Fabiola.
Hey, y'all, my name is Fabiola Pierre. It's definitely very enjoyable to have you guys listen to the conversation. Definitely to hear you for the next episode, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you,
You're
Fabi.
welcome.
Larry.
I'm Larry. I'm too much of a diva. I'm Larry. Hilda, thank you so much again for asking me to be featured on the show. And I'm looking forward to being on the next episode or so. So stay tuned. You may see more of me.
Oh, Larry, this has been awesome. I'm so glad that you were able to be here. I've known you for so long, and this is actually my first time seeing you. I think since like graduation or something.
Oh
So
my, oh my
yeah, it's
God.
been years. So thank you for being here. And Bodega,
Yeah, so again, I'm Bodega. You can follow me everywhere, anywhere at Eastside Bodega, except Facebook. I don't even do Facebook. But again, these conversations are always insightful. They're insightful, and I'm glad that I'm in a space where I can have these conversations with like-minded individuals. So yeah, thank you again for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
thank you so much, Bodega. It's always an honor to have you here. And last but not least, King Martez.
Um, Thank you to everyone being on here. Of course, you, Hilda. Thank you to Jay, the owner of the radio station, Shay. I think we all just need to support each other on what we all have going on and continue to have these type of conversations. You can follow me at King Martez at any social media platforms. Other than that, I'm just happy to be able to speak my mind like most people. I think people want to be able to express themselves. And if any of us stay in the Atlanta area, I think we need to try to get together and do something that was mentioned last time. And just support one another. We all melanated people, and we need that support. And we can try to blow your show up. Hilda, we'll support you as much as we can, and that's it. So
Thank you so much. I always appreciate that support. It's a lot of us out here in the Atlanta area, so we should definitely get to do a meetup at some point soon.
I need to go
And
to Atlanta. Like, I need to make a trip. Everyone keeps telling me to go to Atlanta.
Larry, let me know when you go, and I'm coming to visit too.
Yeah, because
come through,
oh,
pull up,
It ain't nothing but a thing to hop a flight to Atlanta.
yeah, because I'm like,
pull
everyone
up.
keeps telling me like, oh, come to Atlanta. I'm like, what is there to do? But it's like now
it's
Hilda.
it's a lot. Not to
Everything.
cut you off, Larry.
Hilda's
It's a
there.
There's
lot to
plenty to
do.
Hilda's there.
do.
Yeah,
And
like
Fabi,
me and
are
my
you in
girls
Atlanta
finna.
too?
Okay.
Larry, let me tell you,
Yes.
whatever experience you want to have in Atlanta, you can have it. You can have it. Whatever experience it is that you want.
I mean, listen,
We're coming.
I'll be living in
Larry, call me.
I'll be living in New Jersey very soon, not too far from New York. So if any of y'all like, I mean, tells me all the time she wants to take a New York City trip. Let me
Yes, I've
know.
never been to New York.
I'm
Fun
down to
fact.
go to New York. I
Oh
like New York.
no! Wow.
So
Yeah,
Hilda, let's
Okay.
go.
Okay.
we
But
going to New
yeah,
York this winter.
We're gonna take a bunch of field trips in the future, okay?
let's go. The Hilda'S Mood Show
And
tour
there's
is
not much
coming
over here in Ohio,
soon.
but if y'all want to visit, we could go to the park and get some good ice cream. That's what and good food.
Sand,
That's
I
what
know
we can tell you.
about
We can eat
Sandusky.
good, we could hike good, and we could have some good ice cream.
I mean,
Oh
Hilda,
my
when you
Okay.
take good Instagram pics in New York, I got you, girl. Like, yes,
I'm
I
excited. I'm excited. And that concludes this episode of the Hilda Zoot Show. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. And you can find us everywhere at Tip Tip Radio. And y'all have a great rest of y'all day.
Everybody have a great week.